type ready in the chat for Say It Out Loud. We welcome you all to our program with love. Welcome. Thank you. Now I'm going to ask Pastor Martin back to do the opening remarks for us.
Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Are you hearing me? Okay, thank you so much. And I want to say how glad I am to be part of this marriage seminar this afternoon. And I want to commend the family life leader and the council department for envisioning and planning, executing this significant empowerment activity. And, I really think that, this department of our church has a lot to contribute because marriage forms the backbone of our church. Families are essential to what we do, and it is God's intent, that from the beginning for permanence and intimacy in marriage. And I'm happy that we have a growing attendance, because I noticed the numbers are increasing ever so often. And so I'm glad that you could see the importance of attending such a program. Ellen White says in the Review and Herald, September 25th, 1888, that marriage is to be a relationship that reflects the love, the principles of love described in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. A partnership of equals under God, each focusing on the other rather than only the self. And the theme that was chosen, keep the fire blazing, really, I think, signifies the intent of many, and that is to keep their marriage alive. And all of us, want to have a marriage that goes the distance. And, I recently discovered a few years ago that I have a liking for fire, and growing up, they told me that I was always starting a fire somewhere. And, one even got very close to the house. But you see, we cannot live without fire because fire sustains and it provides warmth. Fire provides a means to cook and sanitize, and marital love can be likened to fire. And when all the ingredients are going well, when there's fuel and there's air and, all coming together, right? The marriage is successful, it's happy. But you see, marriage suffocates without pure love because fire, that same fire that can be so helpful, has the power to destroy life. And I believe that this is a good step in the right direction to stimulate and to, even help and empower many marriages to experience the bliss and the joy, that God intended. And so may this be the start of a renewal, that will not be quenched. And may God help us through the presentations of Dr. Colin King to start stimulate, and reignite in us through the power of the Holy Spirit, and in our marriages, a renewal that will pay much dividends as we trust God for a good harvest. So may God bless you, and thank you for coming, and may this seminar be a success for all in attendance. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bob, for your opening remarks. Straight to the introduction of our guest presenter. Okay, the person who was asked to do the introduction is having some technical challenges. She's seeing something different to what we're seeing because the signal is so poor where she is. Sister Bell, can you hear us? If you can just
Yes, I'm hearing. I'm hearing now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to introduce to you today our guest speaker, Dr. Colin King. Dr. King is a proud son of the soil here in Guyana, whose work and contributions have made a meaningful impact in the field of psychology. He holds a PhD and is a licensed clinical and forensic psychologist, bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience to both clinical practice and the justice system. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Dr. King is a devoted family man. He is married and he's the father of two adult children. Today, we are honored to have this man with us to share his insights and expertise. Please join me in warmly welcoming our guest speaker for this afternoon's seminar, Dr. Colin King.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the warm introduction. I can see a number of you, which is great. Can you guys hear me okay? Listen, okay, great. So listen, Sister Charles, I'm gonna use you as my cue. I can see you very well, and so if you can gesture to me and let me know what's happening. Just some very quick Zoom, and I know everyone knows this, is aware, but just a friendly reminder that you need to mute your audio. And if you are in a private setting, let's say like if you're in your bedroom or your kitchen and you're cooking some, well, it's a salad, but if you're cooking some curry chicken or cook up rice or whatever, mute your video also. I have a couple of co-hosts, and what I've asked them to do is if for whatever reason you're unmuted, I've asked them to put you in the waiting room, and then that will give you a chance to finish up what you're doing, and then you can try to come back in. But please try to keep your audio muted. Use the chat function if you have a question. I'm going to try to pay attention to the chat. So we are running behind, about 4 to 5 minutes behind. And the presentation is supposed to be about an hour and a half. So clearly, we are not going to get through our presentation. That is very, very clear. So we may have to do a part 2 or a part 3 or a part 4. I have a lot of good content that I think is beneficial to all of us. So I'm just going to jump right into it. First of all, I think someone said it. We are not talking perfection. We are not. I've never seen a perfect marriage. Never. Not even Abraham, Moses, none of those guys. Those guys had a lot of issues. And if they have had issues, I know we have a lot of issues. So I'm not even talking today about perfection. Another thing I'm asking you not to do, don't change anything. Just if my goal today is to create awareness. If the only thing I can do is to make you aware of certain things, I think that is half the battle. So I want to jump into our presentation, keep the fire blazing. I'm sharing my screen. You guys can see my screen, correct? Yes? All right, so that is the outline. The first slide will be on some brain teasers. And then, as you can see, the presentation really is in 4 parts: communication, conflict, money, sex. We're not going to get through all of them. We may just scratch their surface. So on the next slide, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you have 20 seconds to write or to notate your answers. Just 20 seconds. That's it. I'm going to... And Sister Charles, there should be a prize for anyone who gets all of it correct. It's fairly straightforward. Let me start my timer. And when 20 seconds are up, I'm just going to move on. Are we ready to go? Yes? All right, here we go. Timer started. All righty. How many of them did you get through? We're gonna come back to them in a sec. So the first big slice is the one that causes the most controversy, and that is communication. So I've defined what is communication. You can certainly read that definition yourself. I don't have to read it for you, but there's some things that sort of jump out. You want to ask yourself, why is communication important? If you think about it, when you're driving, we communicate all the time, whether or not we are aware of it or not. If you're driving on the Linden Highway from Linden to Georgetown, even the cars communicate. I've noticed that. They're flashing their lights, they're tooting their horn, they're giving signals. You can't help but communicate. All right. So that's my definition. There's certain keywords that sort of jump out at me. And the first one in terms of communication, and that is that we send signals. We send a lot of signals. How many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, I know he doesn't like me," or "I know she doesn't like me," and the person hasn't said anything to you? The person has not said a word, but just by looking at them, you have a sense that the person does not like you. And so we're gonna dig into communication a little bit more. So here's some facts that you need to be aware of. On average, someone said, some researcher, that men speak about 15,000 words a day. Are you laughing, Sister Charles? And women speak about 35,000 words a day on average. So men speak about 15,000, women speak about 35,000 on average. Now, right away, do you see some problems there? Because if a guy speaks about 15,000 words a day, when he comes home, he's out of words. And the woman is now getting started. So she needs to get her 35,000 words out. So right away, there is potential for clashes. Another fact that I want to share with you is that men speak mostly for report, right? The game was great. We didn't do anything much at work today, or whatever it is. And women speak for rapport. They want to tell you the whole story. They want to tell you the color of the dress that the person was wearing, the bow tie. They want to give you the whole spiel because women speak to build relationship, whereas men, they just speak to report incident. And so there is this kind of clash. Another thing we want to keep aware of, and this is just some brain. I'm going to get a little brainy before we really dig in a little deeper. Just because I'm a forensic psychologist, there's some things that we need to be aware of. Physiologically, women, when God created women, women have more neurons than men. What are neurons? Think about the brain cells and how they interact with each other. So women have more neurons. Women also are very skillful in using both sides of their brain, and women have more connections in the neurons also. So just physiologically, we are different human beings. So whenever you say your husband is weird, he is. And when you say your wife is crazy, she is. We're a very different creature, and we just want to be aware of that. All right, so the researchers are saying that 90% of our communication is nonverbal. What our body language says, eye contact, the tone, they're all very, very different. And sometimes we say things that we don't mean, so there's an incongruency. There's kind of like a tug of war because our nonverbal is saying a lot. And we're going to talk about passive aggressive and body language, and we're going to get into some of that. So let's talk about the four styles of communication and maybe take an introspective look to see which one of these applies to you, right? So the first one on my screen to the top left, that is one style, being aggressive. Someone who likes to yell, who likes to blame, who likes to attack. So if your boyfriend, girlfriend, whomever has that communication style, right away, you can see there may be some issues. Now, a person with the aggressive style tends to win every single argument. They're going to win. They're going to win every single time. But when they win, what happens is that the other person loses every single time. When that happens, there's going to be obvious problems. This gives you some examples of the aggressive communication style. This person uses a lot of you statement. How many times did you hear someone say, "You made me mad. It's your fault"? Now, breaking news, no one can make you mad. You are in control of your own emotions. The person can be mean to you, they can be angry with you, but they can't make you mad. We are responsible for how we react. Nevertheless, this is the aggressive communication style. This type of relationship or a person in any type of a relationship or marriage is going to have a lot of problems with this style. It creates a lot of problems. How about the passive aggressive? And again, we're talking about keep the fire blazing. We're talking about relationship. We're talking about marriage. And this applies to fiance, boyfriend, girlfriend, what have you, right? Our style dictates the amount of heat in the relationship. Passive aggressive. This is someone who is kind of like silently aggressive, but they don't want to show it. Let me give you an example. If I say to Sister Charles, and Sister Charles, I'm going to have to keep picking on you because I can see you. So please forgive me. I can see you. So if I have a meeting at Sister Charles's office, 3 o'clock, I show up at 3 o'clock, 3:15, she's not there. Someone needs to mute. 3:30, 3:30, she is not there. And I get up from my chair and I walk out to my car. I see Sister Charles coming. I just drive off. I just drive off. And then when I see her in church, I'm like, yeah, some people, yeah, they can't even keep their word. And I'm teaching Sabbath school lesson, and I'm not giving Sister Charles a break. I'm not talking to her, I'm talking about her. That is being passive aggressive. And we see that a lot in relationships. And this makes for a very tough relationship where the person tries to deny that they're angry. No, I'm not angry. Nope. I'm not angry. You told me not to touch your clothes. Okay, so I didn't touch your clothes. The clothes are outside. It started to rain. I saw the rain coming, but you told me not to touch your clothes, so I didn't touch your clothes. That is being straight up passive aggressive. The one that I want to jump to is assertiveness, assertive communication. In this type of relationship, you use a lot of I statements. And this is not theory, this is a fact. I am disappointed, Sister Charles, that we had a 3 o'clock meeting. I saw you coming. I left because I was angry. So I am claiming my role. I am not even talking about you. I'm talking about my own personal reaction. And when I do that, I am calm and I'm concise. Now, that is not easy. It is not easy when you're in a relationship with someone, whether an engagement relationship, marriage relationship, whatever type of relationship, and you're mad and try to talk calmly, especially if the person is talking over you. That's a huge challenge. However, just want to go through those different styles of communication and show how they could be a problem. How about some barriers to communication? Let us talk about some of those barriers that oftentimes kind of impede communication. Inactive listening. I'm not going to go through all of them just in the interest of time. What is inactive listening? We have a problem. We have an issue. You're talking to me, and I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone because I'm giving you an attitude. That spells problems, right? And again, like I said, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. I'm not trying to change any opinion. I'm just trying to create awareness. So the next time you have an interaction with your husband, your spouse, your boyfriend, whomever, you're mad or he's mad, you know it, he knows it, or she knows it. I want you to pay attention to your own personal body language. If you're fiddling, if you're doing stuff, it signals a problem. Nonverbal cues. Nonverbal cues. You guys have heard the proverbial you got to sleep on the couch or the cold shoulder. Men tend to be more aggressive, sometimes outspoken, female in general, not all female, tend to react emotionally. And one of those reactions could be emotional withdrawal, which is evident by nonverbal cues. I'm not talking. I'm not even making eye contact with you. You think you're the boss? I'm going to show you who's the boss. So those are some natural barriers to communication. And by the way, at the end of this communication segment, I'm going to stop. And so if you can put some of your questions in the chat, or I'm going to address those questions, and then we'll go on to the next segment. Overcoming these barriers. Let me ask you a question. Whenever there's marital difficulties, question I want to ask you, what is your goal? Do you want to prove that you're right? Do you want to resolve the issue? Or do you just want to get mad? Like, what is your goal? Because if we're talking about overcoming these barriers, then we can talk about strategies that you can put in place, but it depends on what do you want to see at the end of the day. So here's some strategies to use if it is to resolve issues. First thing is that you want to be present. And being present means eye contact, body language, my tone. I cannot be having a serious discussion trying to resolve something, and I'm on my phone, I am texting someone, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on whatever. All right, so be present. The other thing is, and I see couples get tangled up in this one. They bring up a whole lot of past issues. They remember when. You know, some people are like scuba divers. They dive down to the bottom of the ocean every time you have a conversation or a disagreement, and they bring up all the past stuff that you do. That may be emotionally pleasing, but it doesn't solve anything at all. And so be very specific. If we have an issue, Sister Charles, I'm picking on you again. We're going to have that conversation. You were not present for my meeting. I was so angry. I took time off from work. And I want to have that discussion to let you know how I feel. And this is all that we're talking about. What happened with that interaction? We're not talking about when we went to Camporee. You know, I asked you for a ride and you didn't give me a ride because I know that you didn't like me. You didn't put me on the program. No, 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 no. We're addressing the issue that caused us to be here. So be very clear, be very specific. And again, you know, try to walk in the person's shoes a little, understanding that we have different communication styles. I'm going to pause again because we don't have a whole lot of time. I want to jump into conflict in the relationship and resolving conflict. I want to go into the chat. Sister Charles, are you able to unmute and read anything in the chat? Because I have multiple screens and I don't want to stray away. So I'm going to need some assistance from you if you can see the chat. See if I can see it also while you. Let me unmute you, Sister Charles. You're muted. Or Pastor, either one. Can you guys? Yeah, see, I've messed it up already.
I don't see any questions in the chat.
I see about maybe I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing about 15. Maybe it doesn't pertain to any question, but would you be kind enough, Pastor Bob and Sister Charles, to look at the chat and see if there's any upcoming questions, and just let me know. All right, let us jump into conflict resolution. A big one in relationship, a big one in marriage. As always, I like to give a definition. What do I mean by conflict? Just as it sounds, when people have opposing opinions or opposing principles. And I know we all know this. When we marry someone, right? We see them at their best, at their absolute best, until we say, I do. And I'm not saying that the person changes. I'm just saying that we put on a different set of glasses, a different set of lens to actually see them. And, we see differences. We're supposed to be different. I grew up in a household where we had to squeeze the toothpaste tube. You squeeze it, you squeeze it, you squeeze every bit of it out because there were so many people in the house. That's just how I grew up, right? Poor. But there's some other people like Sister Charles who did not grow up poor. And and maybe she didn't have to squeeze that tube to get everything out because there were always extras. The only point I'm making is that when we step into a relationship, we're gonna meet someone who sees the world differently. They see money differently. They see sex differently. They view communication differently. All these things are so true. So, the question is conflict good or bad? Is it good or bad? I have here that it is neither good nor bad. So conflict is sort of like neutral. The thing is, how do you respond to it? You can grow from it, or you can refuse to grow from it. My wife is from the UK, right? So she's British. I'm Guyanese. We're different. We view money differently. We view child rearing differently. We view shopping differently. There's so many things we view differently. And as a result, there's a lot of margin for conflict. And so we can use it to make us better, or we can use it to make us worse. The biggest issue is, how do we manage conflict? What strategies do we use? I have a model here that I want to share with you. It's called the Lean model, L-E-E-N, the Lean model. First L is for listen, and then the second one is to empathize, and then you explain, and then you negotiate. Let us talk about the first one, listen. I am wondering if I can have a volunteer who is brave enough to unmute and give me the answers to those 4 questions that we started with. I told you I was going to come back to those questions, right? So my co-host, can you look to see who's going to raise their hand in the chat, because this is going to be interactive also, or who is going to unmute, and then we're going to go through those. They're going to tell me the answers to those questions. So who is a brave soldier? Pastor, I do not want to volunteer you because you may get them all right. So I need another brave soldier. No?
I will try.
Okay, what's your name?
Sister Krista.
Is it Crystal?
No L.
Krista. Okay, great. Sister Krista, how long have you been married?
24 years.
Oh my gosh. You have a patient husband. I'm kidding. All right, Sister Krista. Any children?
Not together.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So what is the first question?
But I joined when the question was asked already. So I'll ask her to repeat. I'm not
Okay,
seeing
so
any question here.
let me do this. Let me just go back real fast to the questions. Okay. How many clean animals and unclean animals did Noah take into the ark? And I want,
Talking by the 7.
I'm sorry?
How many clean ones?
Yeah.
7.
And how many unclean?
2.
Okay.
So,
Okay. You're doing good so far. So that's 1 for 1. Number 2, marriage should be 50-50.
I agree or disagree, I have to say.
Sister Krista, there's only one answer. What did you write down?
Yes.
Yes.
I would say yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so far you've given me 2 answers. You've given me 3 answers. You said you will agree and disagree, and then you say yes, and then you say mm-mm. So
no, okay. If you're saying marriage is 50-50, I'm agreeing that marriage is 50-50 then. I'm
okay,
agreeing
so
with it.
and that's your final answer.
That's my final answer.
All right. Okay, Sister Krista. I'm gonna come back to that. Number 3. How about the question number 3 with the plane flying with Lindenites? It crashes on the border of Suriname. Where should the survivors be buried?
Where they die?
Where did I? Okay. 10 frogs on a bank and 9 decide to jump. How many frogs remain on the bank?
All of them.
Ah, Sister Krista, you were doing so good. You were doing so good, Sister Krista. Let us go with the very second one. Marriage should be 50-50. I got to tell you no. You know why? Because there is no 50-50 marriage. Sometimes it's 100-0. Sometimes it's 70-30. Sometimes it's 10-90. You give 90, he gives 10. You give 20, he gives 80. It's all over the place because if you give 50, if you only give 50, it means that you're holding back 50. So I just wanna mention that, Sister Krista. So we're going to give you now 1 out of 2. We're going to need some help from the angels on this next one, Sister Krista. The plane flying. So the plane flying with Lindenites. And look at what I said. Where should the survivors be buried? Sister Krista, we're not trying to bury survivors. Those are the people who survived. So we don't want to bury them. We want to get them back home to wherever, right? Okay, Sister Krista, so now you're going to need a miracle now just to break even here. The last one. I know, right? I hear you groaning and you're travailing in pain, Sister Krista. Hang in there, okay? You're doing just fine. Let us see. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I know seeing the question that you look at the first part of the question, you just answer, not reading the entire question in title. So, oh, survivors? No, I don't bury survivors. Then I see the last one that jump into the river. Okay.
Sister Krista, I am making a point. I'm making a point. The
You'll be
last
quick to
one.
answer.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. The last one. It's 10 frags on a bank
And
9
okay.
decide to jump. They didn't jump, they just decide. It means that we still have 10 frogs on the bank.
That's
Because
all on the bank.
I'm sorry?
All. That's my answer was all. They all remain.
Okay, okay. So, wow.
I got it
So,
right.
wow. So at least you got 50%.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Sister Krista. You are a great sport. So
Yeah.
the whole point of showing this is that I was talking about the lean model. Let me go back there now. Why did I? The lean model, listen.
And
A lot of times we don't listen very well. We do not listen very well. Sometimes we're just waiting for the person to stop speaking before we start speaking, right? We don't listen to learn sometimes. We just listen enough to let the person think that you heard what they said, and then you jump right in. How many times have you heard your husband, boyfriend, spouse, whomever say, "You never listen to me"? To use a Guyanese parlance, your hard A's, right? You don't listen, and sometimes we're so hasty that we jump to conclusions without even allowing the person to finish, which is a huge tragedy. So that's why I did that little exercise using the lean model, resolving conflict in relationship. Listening is important. The second one, empathize. Empathy is super, super important. There's a lady called Renee Brown, and she has some great YouTube clips on empathy. Let me see if I can play one for you. Let me see if this is going to play for me.
So what is empathy? And why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, "I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed." And then we look and we say, "Hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone." Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." Yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, "I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me." Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Great. So, yeah, Renee Brown does a great job talking about empathy. And again, we're talking about the lean model: listen and empathize. Now, this is just an additional quote on what Stephen Covey said about most people. We just listen with the intent of, we just want to reply, you know, not trying to necessarily to understand, but we just want to be able to reply. Um, okay, here we go. Okay, great. You guys can see my screen? Um, I want another volunteer. And again, I'm not going to put you on the spot. It's going to be fun. I just need another volunteer to ask some questions here. Who would like to volunteer? I need a brave soldier. Not going to embarrass you, not going to put you on the spot. I just want you to be able to answer some quick questions. Anyone is unmuting?
I'm volunteering.
I'm sorry?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, thank you. And what's your name?
Jadida.
Jadida. That's a beautiful name. How do you spell it?
Jedidah, 2 Kings 1, the mother of King Josiah.
I like it. I love that name. You're wearing it. Married, single?
Married, I'm here with my husband.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be a great afternoon for you two guys. So, Jadida, you can see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Is there any way that you can have your husband like cover his ears? I don't want him to hear what you're saying. Can you command him to?
I can request quietly. Yes, he has left the room.
He's left. Okay, great. He's left the room. Beautiful. So, can you tell me the very first picture on your left? What color is that dress?
It looks like a gold and white or beige and white.
And I want you to go ahead.
Gold and white.
Gold and white. I want you to remember your answers, okay? Gold and white. That's your final answer?
Yes.
Okay. How about the one in the middle? What do you see in the middle?
I see a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Their head turned with a nice headdress on her head.
Uh-huh.
Yes, with a fur coat.
With a fur coat. Wow, you're very creative. How about the one at the end? The last one.
I see my wedding colors that we use for our wedding
And
party.
what are those colors, Jadida? What are those colors?
Gray and turquoise.
Gray and turquoise. Beautiful, beautiful. Can we give her a hand, please? Can we? Thank you, guys. No, Jadida, I want you to nicely request that your husband come back in the room. We got some questions for him. What's his name?
His name is Travis.
Travis. All right, Mr. T.
Bring me Chocolate Thunder.
I'm sorry? What did you say?
Travis, aka Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder. Bring in Mr. Chocolate Thunder.
You're unmuted already.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Mr. CT, how are you doing, sir?
I good. How yourself?
I am good. All right. We got some questions for you, okay?
Yeah, listening.
There's no pressure. So you can see my screen.
Yeah.
You can see the first thing to the left. Can you tell me what colors you're seeing?
A beige and white dress.
Beige and white, you said?
Yeah, beigeish brown.
Okay, you seen beige, white, and brown.
Yes.
Yes? Hmm. And then how about in the middle?
That looks like a woman with a feather to the front of her forehead.
Mm-hmm.
She wearing like a fur coat or
Mm-hmm.
something.
Okay. So you don't see the picture of a young girl,
No, it look like an older lady.
an older
Um,
lady. All right.
yeah, much older
Can
lady.
you see my cursor on the screen or no? Can you see it or no? No?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Okay. All right. So you cannot see that. And then how about their sneakers? What are those colors?
Turquoise and gray.
Turquoise and gray. Hey, Mr. CT, you did so well. You did so well. You guys are pretty close in terms of your perception, right? But you're a little off in terms of the color. I don't think your wife saw brown. So right away we have a slight issue. I believe she's going to tell us that you're colorblind, but we're not going to say that. We're just going to say that you guys saw things differently. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this to say that because we are different and we enter into a relationship, it's important for us to listen and to learn to empathize, even though we do not see the same thing, or even though we don't hear the same thing, because we are different and we're going to see the world differently. And that's why it is so important that we understand our differences. So, Janita and Mr. CT, I want to thank you guys very much. You guys have been awesome and you guys have been amazing. So let
Yeah,
us look at, I'm sorry.
it was our pleasure to be a part.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Um, so we're talking about conflict, how to manage it, listen, empathize. Let us talk about some strategies or some ways that people engage, some behaviors. I have here avoidant, and that simply means that some people in a relationship they will just avoid talking about it. Don't tell me. I don't need to know. You're all, well, I'm not going to go there as yet. To avoid means to kind of skirt around the issue. This one with harmful truth. You're like, I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to tell it like it is, even though it's harmful. In a relationship, in a marriage, that approach is going to have a lot of backlash. It's okay to speak the truth, but you've got to speak the truth in love. Because if you don't, then conflict will continue to occur within the relationship. Again, managing conflict. How about emotional, emotional abuse or emotional blackmail? I've seen this. Um, how many times have you seen a husband or a wife, fiance, boyfriend, or a girlfriend engage in emotional abuse? And some will tell you that emotional abuse is just as bad, sometimes even worse than physical abuse. All right. For instance, forcing your spouse to ask you for money, just forcing them because you are earning more, you use that as a kind of a handcuff, as a kind of a sort of a dagger hanging over their head And sometimes you're not necessarily saying it, but you're just displaying it. And you're inflicting so much emotional pain on the person that it just burns them out. Number 6 says aggressive. Sometimes there is physical aggression, and sometimes there is aggression with technology. What does that mean? Like, for instance, going through your spouse's cell phone, becoming overly suspicious, not saying it, but just acting on it, um, giving them the cold shoulder. Uh, just biologically, women tend to do this more than men. Men tend to be more physically aggressive than women. It doesn't mean that men cannot be emotionally abusive, and it doesn't mean that women cannot be physically aggressive. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, as a group, we tend to see these type of behaviors more and more in certain genders. Um, I want to jump to healthy ways to handle conflict. We spoke about this one early on, being assertive, using a lot of I statements. I feel angry when you say this. I feel angry when you do this, as opposed to you make me feel. A big one that I use a lot is taking self time out. Healthy ways of handling conflict, right? Taking self time out. Sometimes it's important and necessary just to walk away, cool off, and then come back to the issue at hand. You do not have to handle every issue in the moment unless it's an emergency. Unless it's an emergency. And taking self time out doesn't mean that you're not going to come back and discuss the issue. So we're talking about healthy ways to handle conflict. How about giving the person a chance to speak rather than always talking over the person, kind of yelling above them, kind of not hearing them? How about giving them a chance to speak while you listen? And then they listen as you speak. And then the last one that I have there is so super important. I use this a lot. Choose the hill you want to die on. What do I mean by that? It simply means to choose your battles wisely. And after you've been married for a certain amount of years, you realize that some things, they're just not worth fighting over. And quite often I say to myself, this is a hill that I am not going to die on. This is a fight that I'm not going to fight. I am not going to fight this battle. And in relationships, in terms of conflict management, it makes sense to not engage with certain issues. Let me tell you a quick story, very quick, about this skunk and the lion. You may have heard this before. The animals came together. Of course, it's not a true story. It's an allegory. Animals came together and they said to the lion, hey, the skunk wants to fight you. The lion thought about it. He thought about it for a minute and he said, no, I'm not going to fight. And the animal said, why? You're the strongest animal that we know of. Why wouldn't you fight? And this is the lion's response. The lion said, if I fight this skunk and I win, you guys are going to say, of course you should win. You're the lion. he said, if I fight this fight and I lose, you guys are going to go off and say the lion got beaten by a skunk. And he said, if I fight either way, I am going to come out smelling bad. And so I use this as one of my enduring principles. Do I want to come out smelling bad? I want to choose my battle. I want to choose which hill I want to die on. And there's some battles I am not going to die on some hills. And sometimes you have to let your spouse win. Does it matter? If your spouse says, if my wife says to me, I don't like that shirt does not suit your color. Okay. What are my options here? I can be defiant and wear my shirt anyway, or I can say, you know what? You're right. I'm just going to change it for peace sake. It doesn't mean that I'm compromising any of my values or anything at all. It simply means that fighting over the color of a shirt is not worth it at all. It's not worth it. So those are some principles that I use in terms of conflict management. Sister Charles, I have a problem. It's now 4:36. We were supposed to stop at 4:30. We've only scratched the surface on communication and conflict. And I need some advice from you. As my attorney.
Yes, we could, if you still have a little bit of time, maybe we could entertain 2 or 3 questions and then we close off this afternoon. And then at your convenience, because you have a busy schedule, you let us know when we can continue.
Okay, but just what you know, yeah, so these are the other slides that I really want to kind of jump into negotiation. I wanted to talk about money management because this is so important because these days, we have a number of females, women who are earning more than men. And if the man has the opinion that he's the boss, or sorry, he's the head, oh, I'm sorry, he should control things. Oh, I'm sorry, he's the priest of, you get the message, right? And so this is one of the huge areas that we're not even going to get to. Money tips, this is another big one. Sex, intimacy, can't even get close to these 2 huge topics. So we essentially have only done like about half or a quarter of our presentation, but I am more than happy to stop now and to entertain some questions, and you can decide the order of those questions and what you want them to look like. I do have some time to answer some of your questions.
So if anybody has a question, just put your hand up. So use the emoticon and then we can recognize. You can open your mic and go ahead and ask a question. I don't want to believe that we don't have any questions.
Yeah, and so just let me say this. I know on a forum like this, there could be some hesitations in terms of not wanting to ask an obvious question that may be obvious to your spouse, but you may know of someone else who is struggling with an issue or who may want to ask a question. Maybe you can ask it on their behalf, of course, without naming them. You can just throw it out and I will try to respond.
Yes, you're ready. You can go ahead.
Is someone speaking or no?
I didn't hear anyone.
I'll be the brave one again on behalf of a situation I know about.
Okay, thank you.
I think it was a little while back. We're talking about the phones or not monitoring your partner's phone, something of the sort you alluded to. And if you have to get a conflict or abuse or something like that. So is it okay for either partner to have the phone locked? Or is it, should I ask, is it a healthy thing then for a couple, whether the man or the woman, to have say that this is my privacy, you don't have access to my phone and the phone's locked?
Okay, very good question. And so my response is, it depends, right? It depends on the level of trust. And so the fact that I have to try to break into your phone, or you have to try to break into my phone, it says something about the relationship. So the issue really is not about the phone. The issue is about trust, right? The issue is about, well, why don't I trust you? Or why don't you trust me? There are reasons why, and there could be 1,000,001 reasons. So there is a lot of things happening in the background. So my short answer is, it depends, because you can lock your phone for privacy reasons, meaning you don't want your spouse or your partner, your girlfriend or whatever to see what you have in your phone. Well, what do you have to hide? What do you have to hide? And then, of course, the other part of that question is, well, why do you want to know? So there is a lot of give and take and tug of war, but just with that very simple scenario. But the underlying current is a lack of trust. And if there's a lack of trust, then you want to ask yourself, why is there a lack of trust? The second thing is, and this is a big one, the need for control. Why do you need to control someone else's behavior? Why do you need to ask me where you went? Da 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 da. Who did you talk with? Why did you talk so long? Once you start asking those questions, what it is saying is that there is a lack of trust. And so we have to address, first of all, the trust issues before we can get to what's happening above the actual surface. One of the questions so I hope I've answered your question. Another one is, as it pertains to, and again, we didn't even touch money management, but with women earning more than men on average, who should control the money? I'm not even sure if I should ask anyone to respond to this question. I'm afraid to ask anyone to respond to this question, but I'm going to wait for a couple of seconds to see if someone has an opinion. And then if they don't, I'm going to respond.
The person who's gifted in that department, you're more able to manage money more than your partner. You're more thrifty.
Ding.
That's it. So not necessarily you want to control, but that's your department. You know how to manage and budget wisely and spend with all those things in mind.
You said it. And you have to play to your partner's strength. You just have to do that. So, like you quite rightly said, it doesn't matter who is the bigger money earner. It does matter who is the better person to budget. And that person should have management, not necessarily control, but that person should have management of the finances. The person who is the better money manager. There's some people, money doesn't stay in their hands at all. Does not it come in one hand it goes out in the next hand. It comes in the next hand, and it goes out. And they're always broke. Well, if you're in a relationship with someone and the person is making less than you, but the person is a better money manager, it is better for that person to manage the money. I can tell you when I got married more than a long time ago, my wife had what? Maybe about, and please don't tell her that I said this. She had about 6 different credit cards. And my contribution was, my dear, there is no way we can live with all of these credit cards. So here's what I think we should do. I have a great suggestion. So what is it? I'm like, can you bring me a very sharp scissors? Really? Yeah. All right. And a true story. True story. She brought the sharp scissors. I don't know if she knew what I was going to do. I mean, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. And I took the scissors and clip, 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 clip. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We'll be fine. We're going to be fine. Okay. Let's just say this. We don't need to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 credit cards. Ain't gonna happen. Turns out that at that time, I was the better money manager based on my experience with poverty and not having enough. And now the roles have flipped now. She has learned how to manage the money. So now she is the money manager, way better than I am. So we have to play to each other's strength. So it's not about which one is more educated, which one can manage, which one is making more. It's about who has the greatest skills. Well, who has the greatest skills? Any more questions? I'm not sure if someone is asking a question or making a statement. All right, Sister Charles, do you want to take over?
Yes, thank you. All right, participants, attendees, I'm sure you would agree with me that we were very happy to have Dr. King present to us this afternoon some invaluable information, which I think all of us can utilize in our relationships. I trust that very soon we can deal with those areas that really need attention in our marriages as soonest. Dr. King, thank you so much for taking the time out. We know you're very busy professionally and otherwise, and we're happy that you took this time to be with us this afternoon. Please, we are not taking for granted the fact that you came on and you gave us all this information. We are going to utilize the information, and we look forward with great anticipation to the next part very soon. We don't want, like a long break, so that we could finish the module, if you could call it that, or the presentation. Thank you so much from all of us, and we really do appreciate you doing this for us.
My pleasure. Thank you guys very much. Again, I apologize that we were off to a 45-minute late start. I just have another engagement like right after, so I do apologize for that. I know that, again, just scratching the surface, but maybe something that I said, and again, to me, the most important thing is not necessarily like making a change, but is bringing it to our awareness. My communication style, my listening ability or lack thereof, my not giving the person a chance to finish speaking then before I can speak, or maybe choosing the hill that I want to die in. There are some fights that you should not fight at all. Some things you just have to let them go. Growing up in Guyana, we had a saying, I'm not sure if they say if they still have it now. You have to learn to ease and press. All right. You have to learn to ease and press. So, guys, once again, thank you so much. You guys have enjoy the rest of the day. God bless and have a great Sabbath. Thank you so much.
Here we're going to ask Elder Roy George to close in a word of prayer. Let's pray. Almighty God and our eternal Father, we thank you this afternoon for the time we have spent here. Provision that we receive. Thank you, God, that being able to make this presentation at this time when the families under so much attack from very sector, various places. Pray, God, that take this information and make our family unit strong. So, to bless us and guide us, pray that you obtain in this practice, in this life, endeavors. Pray that you continue to use him to educate other people, families, etc. And help us, oh God, to be strong as a result. Take full control of every situation, every circumstance that a family will face. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much for again, and take care. This is allowed for the next segment.
Thank you.